Ruma National Park, my favorite place to go to, 27 of them were, were moved from Soy Ranch in 1983. There was no augmentation of this population over the years. And the area survey by KWS in 2021 placed that number at 550. We can bet my life that in the next report, that number has surely gone up, almost double. Why I'm saying that is we did a photographic survey sometimes last year, and we were done with the transect, and then we see this white hue movement at distance, and so we decided to drive and see what's this all about. As we get closer, we find it's just an annual general meeting of giraffe, we presume. And there is at least 80 giraffe in this one picture, just as a herd. So Ruma National Park currently holds at least 50% of the Nubian giraffe population that we have in Kenya. Soy Sambu Wildlife Conservancy, they received their first lot from Soy Ranch in 1993. And when it comes to Soy Sambu, we didn't go back in there to do any photographic survey because they've really gotten their monitoring system for giraffe in check. We only had to call and say, hey, how many Nubian giraffe do you have in the property? At the moment, at the time of writing the review paper, that number was at 162. Again, I can bet my life that that number from the next area survey report should be close to 200. Moya National Reserve, the last photographic survey we did put the number of Nubian giraffe at 79, but the Nubian giraffe currently in Moya National Reserve were actually from Yonder Flower Farm, but in the early 2000s, that number had come up to around 24, but they wanted to increase their horticulture activities, so they had to translocate the giraffe to Moya National Reserve. Moya National Reserve in 2011 faced an anthrax outbreak. At that time, there were about 44 Nubian giraffe. 11 of them were washed out by anthrax. I said that it's going to be a special mention, but then it captures almost the entire slide because there's been movement in and out of Giraffe Center. The first 3 giraffes from Soy Ranch to Giraffe Center was in 1979. And since then, there's been movement in and out through translocation. Initially, Giraffe Center was supposed to be, was set up as a nature education center for students, as well as a breeding ground for Nubian giraffe. Still, while maintaining Giraffe Center, there was another set of Nubian giraffe that moved from Giraffe Center to Ruko Community Conservancy, 8 of them. However, you know that phenomenon in Rift Valley where there's rising in water level, all the 8 of them were bunched in one of the islands in Lake Baringo. And somewhere in 2021, we had to move them out to the mainland of the Community Conservancy. And since then, the numbers has gone up to 14. That's at the time of writing this review paper. But again, I can also bet this time my socks, that number has gone to around 30, at least from the communication we have. So initially I showed you the map of the Nubian giraffe, and you couldn't see them. But if we zoom in, this is how they are distributed in Kenya. It's really in pockets of protected areas and private conservancies across central to western Kenya. All of them total up to 1,042. Again, as at the time of writing this review paper, that places it as at 25% of all the Nubian giraffe in the wild. Second to Uganda. Uganda has about 60% of the remaining Nubian giraffe in Africa. So both Kenya and Uganda, if you add that up, that goes to around 85%. Now, there is worry that the numbers that we have could most likely have come from the 130 giraffe in Soy Ranch. So there are concerns about inbreeding and stuff like that. So as a way of future research gaps, that's something to look into. What else did I need to tell you about this? Of course, they are found in tiny pockets, yeah? So there's an issue with whether these populations are viable. So we are intending or are in the process of conducting a population viability analysis of the different populations. Now, we cannot talk about this success story without translocations. At the base of everything has been translocations. Yes, you can mention there's been improved monitoring, increased and improved security, but at the very foundation of it all has been translocations. So I've just whizzed through the outputs of that review paper, and if you scan the QR code at the bottom left of my slide, you can get the full report. Giraffe Conservation Foundation, as always, we say that we are a voice for giraffe, and you can too. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Adams, for that presentation. It's quite exciting to see all the species having a spokesman, somebody to talk for them. Let's put our heads together again for Adams. The MC tells me that we are now eating into somebody else's time, so I won't call the presenters up here, but I want to give the participants a chance to ask a question to each of the presenters, and then we will actually have like 2 general questions, then we will close it at that. And the way we will do it, can I see those who have questions so that it will be very democratic? We have number 1 here, number 2 there. There are only 2 questions. Please raise your hand because 1, 2, 3. There are 3 questions. Oh, that makes it very good so that we can have a good time. Please say your name and ask.
Thank you, moderator. My name is Hakiza Augustine from Uganda. I wanted to inquire from the gentleman, Edstress, who presented about cosmetics. One is how do we make sure that when we are using biocosmetics, we don't influence on the behavior of animals. And 2 is how do we deal with animals which normally have, for example, birds, which do change their vocals. Thank you.
Okay, please record. I will give you a chance to answer. The number 2, please give him the microphone.
My name is Newton from Born Free Foundation. My question goes to Brian, and good presentation on vultures. My question is on the lion eye spot paint. Probably can clarify to us how often or which time of the day do you experience predation most, and how effective is the lion eye spot paint, because you understand most of the predation takes place at night. Thank you.
Thank you. Brian, you have noted those questions. Now we have Dr. Gakuya asking.
My name is Francis Gakuya from Malawi Research and Training Institute. My question goes to Adams. I've noticed that historical translocation, but I didn't see you, I did not see you pinpoint the last mop-up of the last population of giraffes in Soy, which was taken to various destinations. It did not come out clearly because that was the last one in around 2003 in Soy.
Thank you, Dr. Ali. I now want the presenters, starting with the allies.
Hi. Yeah, thank you for the question. So to answer your questions, first regarding how to conduct bioacoustics with studies without influencing the behavior of animals, I think these environmental mounted acoustic recorders are really ideal for that type of work, because really the only interference that might take place is in the deployment of the device. At that point, it blends into the environment, is not making any sound or producing any lights, and is relatively innocuous there, collecting data without disturbing the animals. And then second, your question about changing animals that change their vocalizations over their lifespan is really an insightful point about the sort of potential limitations of the type of work that I discussed. But I think bioacoustics are really, the kind of crucial approach that is needed to understand how those calls might change over time and to learn something about that process. Thanks.
Thank you. Then we'll have Brian responding. Brian is here. Yeah. Thank you.
Tried this is to mitigate livestock. Its effectivity is that over time, this is a paint, so it would fade over time. So that we maintained or took care of that by continuous painting. When the paint fades, it's redone after 2 weeks, depending also with the weather, when it rains or not. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Brian, for that. Now we go to Adams for the last question.
Yeah, so of course the last mop-up happened in 2003 to various conservancies. I didn't have the time to mention that while presenting, but now that I have the mic, I should also point out that all the Nubian giraffe populations we have at the moment are extra limital, to mean that they were not originally from where we have them currently. Thanks.
Thank you, Adams. I don't know whether we have closed anybody with a question. Anybody with a burning question? Thank you. And I think those were very good presentations. I want to take this opportunity to thank all the presenters and the participants for being very attentive. You all note that this is the last session, and being an afternoon, I'm not sure whether we were all listening very attentively, but I want to believe that we were all here. Let's clap for ourselves. Thank you. You can do it better. Even clapping for yourself, you are not doing better. Do it better. That's much better. Thank you. I want to invite the MC now to take over from here for the next part of the program. But meanwhile, the IT maybe can be giving us some videos.
Happen is we'll call on our CEO and director, Dr. Patrick Omondi, to come up with the word of recommendations and also closing remarks. We are keen on the excursion for today that is facilitated by the Wildlife Research Training Institute at their natural sanctuary at the headquarters. 4:30 is a time that we'll be exiting. So this won't take long. It won't be many speeches. It's just really a big thank you to all of you that made this possible. So I'm encouraging us not to walk out, not to leave. The highlights, we'll have the highlights of the last few days as well as the excursion that we saw earlier when we started the day, and then even the pictures that we'll be looping as we continue, just giving them a few minutes to join us, not to miss out on this. Asante.
So welcome Hell's Gate.
We made it.
Today is an exciting day for the Institute as we welcome you to the second International Wildlife Scientific Conference.
In this room, you have some of the brightest minds. You have passionate scientists and researchers, administrators.
The world is looking to us for solutions, and it is your research, your expertise, and your passion that will light the way forward.
continue to take in the advice, the data, the research that you generate. Our only plea is that don't sit in with what you have. Please knock on our doors, tell us what's happening in the spaces that you have.
So we want each and every human being in this planet to be a scientist first, and then you become whatever you want to be later.
My name is Dr. Teresia Mungai. I work with the Center for Ecosystem Restoration Kenya, and I am the Restore Manager.
My name is Michael Mogomaina from the Born Free Foundation.
My name is Edith Bredorf, and I'm the Director of ICU
Welcome inside.
Nature Web
Karibu, karibu.
Services East Africa Limited.
Those at the back, please settle into the sitting area.
During this WRTI conference, we are showcasing the Global Biodiversity Standard, which is an independent certification scheme that seeks to certify sites that achieve nature-positive outcomes.
Our latest innovation as Born Free is the predator-proof bombers, which is a chain link fortress wall that's put around livestock bombers.
So we brought out the technology, and the latest equipment that we have is equipped with night vision and thermal imaging.
This is a one-of-a-kind certification. It is the first that has been developed of this kind, because the Global Biodiversity Standard came about because of different partners, different consortiums globally. We came together. We came up with a methodology that can be able to certify sites based on biodiversity.
And this innovation is unique in the sense that we have fortified the bomber walls that the livestock keepers use.
So technology never stops developing, and this is state-of-the-art technology, meaning that it connects via the cellular network, for example, and also night vision equipment so far is very limited available in Kenya.
From this conference, we're looking forward to making partnerships, especially with the government.
We look for collaboration partners in the conservancy space.
The collaborations and partnerships that we're seeking is how can this be integrated in the framework of national human-wildlife conflict and mitigation tools, because that helps in reaching more people.
Just a bit of the highlights that you can also interact with on our official platforms. WRTI for the last 3 days has been updating, whether it's Twitter, X, or Facebook, and even the LinkedIn platform as well. We have been updating 4:30, and that will be to the Natural Sanctuary at WRTI. So, just to acknowledge, first of all, and appreciate all of you. It's been a heavy 3 days. But you, of course, have been very diligent it's been good to interact and also meet up with you. First, personally, I'd like to appreciate the positive feedback that I've received as your moderator and MC for the ceremony. But also, in line with that and in the same breath, as I catch my breath, please make sure that you submit your feedback using the papers that had a QR code, and I believe they're still there. And if Ken Mweke could be able to put that, Captain, tafadhali, for those who haven't, please make sure that you give us your feedback. It had been placed earlier in the day as we started, that you give us your feedback. Help us build and continue to Also would like to appreciate the nationalities that have been represented here, and just by show of hands, you could just raise your hand. It has been a day of covering 123 scientific papers by scientists from across the globe, including the United States. The United States. By saying United States, I'm not saying you are a Republican or Democrat. We just want to appreciate the nationality you represent. Way at the back, I see one hand, Asante Sana, and Karibu. You can stay on a bit and enjoy what we have here. There have been 10 papers from the United States of America and Germany. Anyone from Germany here? Tuwapige makofi tafadhali pia. The United States, we were also going to give you an applause. It's just that we didn't see you for a bit there. Diplomatic times. 3 papers from there. United Kingdom. United Kingdom. I see you. Asante sana. Tumpigie makofi. 1 paper from there. Switzerland. Switzerland. Anyone from Switzerland? Let's also be reminded that some people have had to leave because they had to travel. And Denmark. Denmark, yes, I see you back there. Tumpige makofi tafadhali. The Netherlands. Anyone from the Netherlands here? If I'm not seeing, yeah. Oh, okay, yeah. He wasn't too sure about that. Yeah, so Netherlands, 1 paper there. Italy. Italy. All right, tumpige makofi ni huyu hapa. And Norway. We had 1 paper from Norway. Anyone from Norway? It could have been one of the pre-recorded ones as well. We appreciate. Tuwapige makofi in absentia pia. And Russia. Anyone represented from Russia? Hapa mbele tafadhali tumshukuru. And of course, Kenya, we had 91 scientific papers from Kenya. Tujipigia makofi. And Vietnam, we had, actually it was Vienna, I remember. It was Vienna. Let's appreciate our speaker who came in from Vienna virtually. Let's appreciate in absentia as well. Ndugu zetu Tanzania. Tanzania wako hapa mbele. Asante sana. 8 papers from Tanzania. And Nyabos and Sibbles of Uganda. Uganda in the house. Yes, I see you, Sybil. We had 3 papers. And Rwanda. Rwanda kule nyuma. Yes, we appreciate you. And yes, we also had 21 from the Institute. That's 21 papers. Let's also appreciate the host institute. And ladies and gentlemen, just a bit of protocol breach, but I did speak to the parents. I'd like us to appreciate the youngest scientist in the room. No, I'm not talking about Gen Z. I'm not talking about Gen Alpha. There's someone younger, and he probably has a PhD already. So I'd just like to say hi to his dad, Eli Strauss, and he will tell us the name of the beautiful, how many months?
This is Asa. He is 7.5 months old.
And I think he wants to speak for himself. Can I trouble you to just walk up front so everyone can appreciate this young and upcoming scientist? If you thought you had achieved by getting a PhD by I don't know what year, hey, we have someone else who's making waves here. Wanatia, this is your youngest scientist in the room. Yes. Picha iko wapi hapo? Tusalimie huyu scholar. This is a scholar at this age. Yeah. Yes. He's like, I'm staying to my sources. I'm sticking to my sources. Eli, thank you so much. And Mom, where is Mom? I think she was back there. Yes, there's Mom. Please stand up so we can appreciate you as well. Just to say asante sana. See, the reason I do that is I understand what it means to be exposed to an environment early in life. At 7 years as a boy, I was introduced to being in front of an audience and holding a mic. Of course, I was shaky. I still get shaky still, but it comes as second nature. So watch out for that young scientist in a few years. Perhaps for the 3rd edition, we'll have a presentation right from there. Santeni sana. So without further ado, now that we are all settled and I can see we are full house, I'd like to call on our host, ladies and gentlemen, to give us the recommendations that have been arrived at. Let's put our hands together for Dr. Patrick Omondi, our CEO and Director of the Wildlife Research and Training Institute. Daktari, no pressure. You don't have to say your age. I know there's a lot of appreciation for our young scientists, but you have all been very wonderful, and thank you as well for indulging us in some of the slots that have been not quite according to the program, but we have managed. We are at 4:05 p.m. Daktari, over to you.
Thank you, Mark. I am also 7 months old. I know we have had an intensive 3 days conference, and when you see just one page, one will wonder, hey, is this all that we said? I want to assure you that we've tried to capture in 12 bullets what we consider was the messaging that will come out of the proceedings of this conference. I want just to record that we'll monitor and we'll keep you updated because our planning normally starts immediately. So as soon as we came out, our scheduled election might have on our scheduled conference in September 2027. So that's a tick. Our chief guest, the head of public service and chief of staff for Kenya, public service and chief of staff for Kenya, actually said the good work that we've done, that we don't want to research. A few of you can volunteer. You want to be part of expansion so that when we take it up to the little, I think Professor Good, it requires immediate action. And Mutero proposed that it has reached a time that now he moves from a modeler to a politician so that he sits the other side. He will tell me whether we need to include that and expand that recommendation so that we can try and influence and the connectivity and the network in Eastern Africa. The maps, all this tracking began in Kenya. Earth Ranger was invented here. Now we need now to move to the next stage. And I will be talking to what we think as a country will do to now secure our corridors, because our conservation philosophy for most of the East African states are open systems. They are not fenced sanctuaries. They are open. It means we can only conserve by securing the corridor package. You know, either you are tracking lions, giraffes, and we're still missing it. I know most of you have given this data. It is this data that will help us isolate these corridors. We want to package it to now. It also came out that we, as scientists, we like working in silos. And from our last first member, I had said we stepped and developed a national wildlife data portal prototypes. We want research findings and recommendation from experts to be available so that it's able to inform management and policy. So we are hoping by June of 2030, we'll have it up and running. What that will mean, because we are the government mouthpiece, we'll appreciate you if it is data from Save the Elephant, if it is Propogutu's model. It is there, it's available, its recommendation is available. We just want to use it to move to the next. So when we are doing that, when we are doing data mining and research finding mining, we'll engage you. We'll get your thoughts about the story of Gutu. That was what in the Mara. The graphs that we saw that this species could be going to
the Topi.
The Topi. You know, he gave us a story of the status as it were, in the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, and we galvanized to speak, launch it. You'll see your logo just like you are seeing logos in this conference for those who supported us. The other thing that we identified was to prioritize, invest on studies and preventive mechanism on bushmeat, particularly for our country. You know, what arrest here, deaths here, but what is the scale? And it could be but what is the scale? And it could be linked to the data. What is this that is driving the decline in it? Is it poverty? Is it commercial, just like the poach for ivory? So we have isolated that to be something specifically linked to the small game decline that are being observed in this country. Then the sixth one is standardization of our monitoring. We had a national monitoring, ecological monitoring protocol. We have been shown that in forests, like Aberdares Mount Technology, and use DNA, and I think it came out from so many of the presentation to try and actually determine the status of wildlife in our forests. So there's need to update our ecological monitoring protocol, even in our ecological monitoring protocol, even in counting elephants. You know, I talked about it. It's too expensive. You know, I talked about it. It's too expensive for investing in total aerial counts. We are going to talk to it. The African Elephant Specialist Group, come up with new ones. We now fade away with Kagwana's book. We have tried, it's published, but then it will be good for proper decision. It's slow killer because we don't talk about it. We'll talk when it's poaching, there's bushmeat, but people are not shouting about in also the Pontias. We had some pepper. The Pontias, we had some peppers that came from here. When you lose the habit, it is slowly killing also that species. So a bit of investment from partners, from governments, so that we try and map the invasives, look at the scale, and scientifically do some trials of biological, mechanical, and see whether it works. And as scientists, we can only, as an institute, for example, we can only pilot it. And there were emerging diseases, giraffes, white rhino, that we need to adopt a One Health approach and see how we can monitor disease better. We don't need to wait for another COVID. We start blaming pangolins, marais, apes. Some earlier studies need to be done, you know, under this One Health thing, so that proper investment is done. And from the wildlife sector, we should also be proactive and come up with the mechanism of us working together. Then technology, an innovation hub. By law, we are required to develop an innovation, you know, and we are good. We are also training in just Dr.